set to uncover the strategies from the top HR voices. I know you've been our viewers all across the seasons, and I am super elated to welcome you all back to the season 5 of We Talk Talent, your guide to decoding the future of the workforce. Joining me on this journey today is Mathew Gomes, Senior Director, Global Talent Acquisition, Happiest Minds Technologies. Mathew is a seasoned talent acquisition specialist with over 20 years of expertise across diverse IT firms in India. He excels in sourcing fresh talent, nurturing mid career and spearheading leadership recruitment initiatives. A dedicated mentor and advocate for professional growth, Mathew is committed to empowering young individuals to thrive in the workforce. With a wealth of global experience, he's also an avid runner and an enthusiastic traveler. So, buckle up, everyone, because Matthew is about to share his game changing insights and spill all those secrets in the second part of the conversation. But before we dive in, let's give him a warm We Talk Talent welcome. Hi, Matthew. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Soumya. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the lovely introduction and looking forward to chatting with you all and the viewers.
Absolutely. I'm equally excited. So, thank you once again. And let's just start right in, as I promised to my viewers. Matthew, my first question to you would be that how is your industry tackling the changes that the workforce has gone through over the past couple of years? Because I think we all are taking that as a yardstick. If you could just bring in a brief overview, that'll be great.
Sure. So, Soumya, I think the last few years, all of us have seen the challenges that both as a as a world that we have seen. We had to go through this phase of COVID, and a lot of industries, they really got impacted by the COVID, and a lot of workers got impacted by the COVID. I think what we have seen is that many companies first. Many companies who wanted to think that work is only possible through office, they realized that that's not the case. I mean, the value of work can be delivered over a computer, and that is where the realization that hybrid work is the future. So that was one big game changer for many of us. We realized that we can work from home, we can deliver output through our laptops, through our phones. So that was a big game changer. And the other thing I noticed is that even for the workers, many people used to work 9 to 6. They used to always be, in their offices. They used to always be informals. From there, we have moved to, working in a pajamas, so as to speak. There is a lot of time that we, spend with the family now. So the work has changed, and even the workers have changed. So I think a lot of people realized the importance of spending time with family. And in the process, many industries like tourism, like the hotel industry, they got impacted, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people went out of jobs. But slowly or surely, I think the industry has revived. And now we are seeing, because of this change, a lot of industries in the communication sector, they were, suddenly the stock prices went up. A lot of computing, a lot of computers were in demand, a lot of systems were in demand. Because of that, the entire semiconductor industry has seen such a great growth, because there was a lot of need for computing power. So likewise, I think a lot of industries got impacted. A lot of workers got impacted, but there has been a good story where people realize the value of work, the value of family. There is one more concept of moonlighting,
Yeah.
which we suddenly got to know. I don't think that's a great thing for the industry, but yes, along with the advantage of working from home, these kind of things happened. The bad part of the story is many of them started doing taking multiple jobs, and which slightly impacted the industry as well. But I think by and large, we have tried to come out of that mold. We have tried to see how we can control all these small mishaps in the larger scheme of things. But on the whole, I think it was a great wake-up call to the industry, and everybody has taken it positively.
Absolutely. I think very rightly said, Matthew. It has pretty much been like the work workplace and workforce 2.0 for all of us.
That's
So
right.
thank you for putting that out so amazingly well for us. Uh, it kind of prompts me to ask you the next question that according to you and your industry demands, because it is a specific industry that we are addressing here, there has been a lot of noise, curiosity around the talent war. So, in your viewpoint, what type of skill shortages do you think is causing this talent war at the moment?
So I think if you look at the IT industry, there has always been a demand for talent, which is which is skill based in the sense
Yeah,
you might get a qualification and you will get a job, but in the IT industry, the qualification of an engineering or a post graduation is just an entry point into the industry. What really matters, what really gets traded, is your technical skills. Now, when you talk about skills, there will always be a factor of somebody is good and somebody is average and somebody is bad, right?
yeah,
So the problem with the talent war, I personally feel, is that everybody is chasing the same set of talent pool. I mean, you might have a talent pool which is like a complete pyramid, but the guy who is really qualified or the guy who is really skilled belongs to the top of the pyramid. Now, what the reason why this war is, or why this gap is, because of that skill gap. All the Most of the companies are chasing the people at the top of the pyramid, and those folks are the lucky ones who are the ones who get multiple job offers. So, I mean, this factor that the skill is the only tradable commodity is both a good and a bad thing as well. Because the one who has the best skill is the most in demand, whereas the average and the below average guy, there is no takers for that, right? I think the other impact that technology has in this war for talent is there are certain technology trends, right? So, for example, everybody is talking of AI right now, and because of Microsoft has made a billion-dollar investment in OpenAI, suddenly they are the vanguards. They are the ones who are starting this industry
yeah,
trend, and everybody else is trying to play a catch-up game. So suddenly, the trend of demand for workers with this skill set has really exploded, and but you will not find that everybody, the volume of that many people in the right skill set is available in the market. So the same story again continues, that this is in trend. So the gap is there between the ones who have the skill and the ones who don't have the skill. And the people who want to invest in this, they will put all the money in this skill. And so they are willing to purchase, in a sense, the best of the talent, and therefore they fight with each other because there is no new creation of that skill. The skilled people who are existing in the marketplace are the ones who are getting traded around.
right.
So technology trends sometimes create this talent war, and of course the other factor is are a bias towards looking at the best or the top of the talent pool.
Correct.
Companies perhaps should think of slightly investing at the middle of the pyramid, to let's say hire somebody with a one level lower skill and then upskill them to the next level. But because the demand is always in the top of the pyramid skill, there is a talent war amongst ourselves. Yes, yes, that's true.
Absolutely. I think, Matthew, two very important trends that you've highlighted. It's one is skills over degrees any day. I
Yes.
think that is one phenomenon. It's a very pragmatic shift that we as a fraternity are seeing. And the second thing that you talked about is the build versus buy paradox. This has been like a debate for decades now, that which and at what level of the pyramid are you to kind of experiment with that. So thank you so much for kind of solving that equation for us. That also kind of motivates me to ask another question. And since you represent Happiest Minds, I think one element of this industry would be, Matthew, the gig workforce. That has been like in the conversations, it has taken a backseat. Now it's pretty much on the forefront now. So, if I may just ask that, what are some of the most prominent challenges that organizations in India are facing at the moment when it comes to utilizing the gig economy at its full potential? So, if you could just highlight a couple of them, that'll be great.
So I think, I mean, this actually relates back to the previous point that we were discussing, the availability of, the right pool.
Yeah.
This is a segment of pool that actually can be constructive, that can be utilized by the companies, by the corporates. The only thing is, I think, yet the entire concept of the gig economy in India's sense is really not, it's not caught on. There are some industries, let's say the banking,
Mm.
financial services, just by the nature of the work they do, like the sensitivity of the data around it, they might not want to get a guy who is working for few hours with I won't take names of the banks, but any top banks working for 2 hours over here, and then another 2 hours for a competitor bank, because the nature of the work that they do, the
Yeah, the
sensitivity might
compliances
be
are
in a
very
tad.
high for them.
Yeah, that is high. But you look at the food delivery industry, or you look at the media industry, I think that gives a lot of opportunity for people who have the right skill. They might take up small time gigs. But I think we are far from accepting it in the mainstream workforce. So, today, I think, especially in the IT industry, we have to open up to the gig economy. We have to look at
Yeah.
gig workers. It's only the junior folks who we think, okay, fine, we'll take them at a gig, or it's the very senior people, the middle folks who look for security, and that's the spectrum where I think the acceptance of gig workers has to be there. We should look at gig work as kind of an apprentice or internship. But I think it's a common fault across many of us in the industry, where we still have not accepted the gig workers in the mainstream workforce.
Yeah.
But I think just the war that we discussed about, one of the solution of the talent war is to look at this segment of people. I mean, even if you
Right.
directly don't hire them into your workforce, why don't you give them a 6 months internship kind of a program, and then if they come to your the level of skills that you are expecting, we can definitely take them into the workforce. It's a good segment, a lot to be done, with a lot of a lot of people putting our heads together. I think this can be a great initiative and an opportunity for the workforce.
Well, that sounds like a very illuminated path to walk on.
Yeah.
Very beautifully put together. Thank you so much for that, Matthew. And that kind of beautifully segues me into the next part of the conversation. And we've already kind of established in this chat that it is about skills over degrees any day for us. So I would love to hear from you that how do you see the importance of soft skills evolving in the future?
Uh, So yes, we spoke about the skill gap, the shortage. I think many people leave out the soft skills in this entire equation. What we think is we need a guy with the Java programming. We need we need a person with the AI. We need someone with the hard skills, right? Cloud and many other such skills. What I have seen in my so many years, there are people who have the hard skill, but many of them don't make an entry into the workforce or into the right job by sheer lack of the soft skills, whether it
Yeah.
is communication in multiple forms. It's just not communication in terms of verbal communication. Sorry to say, but many of our colleges doesn't really, they give the college degrees, but they don't focus on the soft skills, like how you present yourself, soft skills like networking, for that matter. Even so, see, we as a country produce so many good engineers, but very few products. Why is that? Because that very essential skill of imagination, that skill of how to solutionize things, how to aggregate things. These are softer skills. Everybody has a hard skill. They know programming, they know coding, but the best of the products are not getting created in our, I mean, it is changing for sure, but the best of the
Yeah.
products are not getting created in our country. So I think there is a lot of focus that we need to put on soft skills. It can be as simple as how you speak, to as complicated as imagination. I don't think it's complicated, but focus is missing today in these soft skills. So I think to make us a complete IT economy, and just not producing good backend developers, end-to-end complete spectrum of product development to services development. I think we need to give a lot of focus to the soft skills of individuals. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that reverse engineering is very, very critical. As
Yes.
we plan to move forward, maybe it is time to also look back and see that how can that backward integration work it around for us.
It's a must.
That's a good roadmap that you've shared once again. Thank you. And Matthew, I would love to, kind of leverage your experience and your expertise here.
Yeah.
That actually, puts me onto the path for the next question, which says that could you just share some of the most prominent challenges you faced in the TA space and a few strategies to kind of overcome them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a function which is every day filled with challenges. See, very simple. One is while hiring is in demand, it's very cyclical, right? There is a time 2 years back when we went into a overdrive mode and we overhired, right? Uh, so, but if you look at it in a even balanced scale, there is always the skill gap. I think the biggest challenge for many of us in TS space is how to get the right candidate.
Yeah.
One is the talent pool is limited, and hence, we don't think of the challenges. The pool is limited, but how do we increase the pool is something that we think we should improve upon. And in many of the companies that I have been associated with, like you rightly said, I have been a proponent of. Skill over school. So many times we have looked at hiring undergraduates. That gives us not for the maybe the very high end work, but for the people who have the right aptitude, they have the right attitude, and we just inculcate the hard skill on top of it. You have a decent workforce that can be
Yeah.
leveraged for. So that is one thing where hiring from campuses and training them, you add to the overall talent pool. The other problem which comes out from this issue of a limited talent pool is the compensation. Today, companies, the same talent pool is chased by very financially rich companies
Yeah.
versus mid-sized companies. So that is not a level playing field, I think, because while I think it is competitive, it's an open market, but compensation have skyrocketed to certain extent that many companies are going out of business because if you look at the IT industry, bulk of your expenses are in the cost of acquisition of talented people. So
Yeah.
that is a second big challenge we have seen. So one of the things many companies do is look beyond a technical degree. You can look at a master's degree, you can look at a BSc degree. In that case, the cost element becomes slightly moderated. But again, you have to top it up with the right skill. And the last thing or the third thing I would say is the notice period in this industry. Everybody has suddenly moved to a 90 days notice period. So while the original idea was you are getting hired by my competition, but I will delay it till I don't find a replacement. Or
Yeah.
but I feel you are just creating a huge backlog because one, the productivity in those time period is not great.
Correct.
Seldom do you get a person in that time period, and you just creating a bottleneck of a percentage, a layer of people who are serving notice period but not being productive either to the current organization or being productive to the next organization. I think we should follow some of the Western companies and release people once they have within 15 days. But that's a bottleneck in the industry. We are talking in many times to reverse that, whether we can, instead of holding people for 90 days. I
Yeah.
think in many spaces it has worked because we have a lot of contracting workforce who are released, who do decent work, and they
Correct.
get released in 15 days. Why not for the full-time employees? So
Correct.
some of these are the challenges, and we have tried to think conventionally a little bit outside the box and try to overcome these things. That's been my experience. Yes.
That's just wonderful to know, Matthew. Thank you so much. You've really helped us to kind of envisage that change. You've given us the vision and the mission to go about it, and some very, very critical points highlighted. So thank you. Thank you for putting that out.
You're most welcome. Yeah.
And that brings me to the end of this chat, everyone. Matthew, this has been so effortless. Thank you so much for sharing these perspectives and helping the viewers understand the intricacies and the narratives of managing the talent management in these times, if I could say. So, a heartfelt thank you from us.
Thank you so much, Soumya. Been a pleasure to share my views, my experiences, and I hope this helps the larger workforce, in building themselves up for the future. And great, exciting times ahead. I'm sure all of us will be part of it.
Absolutely, I'm going to take that up. And yes, it's great, exciting times ahead for all of us. On that note, everyone, thank you so much for joining in today. Do let us know how we fared well on your expectations. In case if you have any follow-up questions for Mathew, feel free to connect with him offline. And on that note, it's a goodbye from my and Matthew's end today. Thank you so much for joining, and we're going to see you with yet another brewing episode on We Talk Talent Season 5. Thank you so much.